Myself and Eugene had a furniture shop in Dublin. We were both furniture restorers, and we decided we'd like to get out of Dublin and move to the country, and Cavan was the nearest place, which was like real countryside. So we put an ad in the local paper and found this cottage. And I think it was the cottage that swung it for us because it's a beautiful place. Known locally as Ned Tormey's cottage.
Well, Monica's from up this end of the country. She's from Fermanagh, and I always preferred to live in the country, but circumstances had me in Dublin. We liked Cavan a lot because it was sort of very rural and sort of like it wasn't it wasn't so suburban. There was nice villages, and there was it was sort of off the beaten track. So we both decided we'd move out of the city, and Cavan being only a little over an hour from Dublin, and it was quite near my parents, or my mother was getting old at the time, and Monica's parents as well, and so it seemed just the ideal place to move to. I suffered all my life from asthma from a child. I was a very bad case. I used to be on an inhaler a week, and I also suffered very badly from, it's a related thing as well, from sinusitis. And a friend of mine lives in Wicklow and he keeps bees, and he was always recommending honey to me. And I tried so many things to try and cure it. I was just getting sceptical at this stage. So I come up here and I couldn't get a proper supply of honey.
We seen the ad for a beehive in the local paper, and we just went to pick it up, put it into the back of the car full of bees, and drove home.
There was bees flying around the car on the way home. Don't know how we got home. And the next day we went out and the place was packed with bees. There was bees all over the place, and they were very, we only found out later different sorts of bees. They were very aggressive bees altogether. And at one stage we were in the house for 2 days. We couldn't get out with bees all around the place. It was a very severe learning experience. The good part of the story is that 6 months later, I didn't need an inhaler. My sinus had cleared up, and since that day, that's probably 19 years now. I've never had to have an inhaler. I've never had any chest problems or anything like so. I'm very pleased with the whole experience anyway. And Monica now has a small business made out of selling creams and balms out of the beekeeping. So it was a great experience for us all around, really.
I did a beekeeping course in Gormanstown College, and when I was there somebody was doing demonstrations on how to make cream from beeswax. So when I came home I tried it myself, and I changed it around a bit and added different oils and scents and things like that. And then I gave it to some neighbours and to my family, and everybody thought it was terrific. I set up my company Ceir, which is the Irish word for beeswax. So now I sell locally in the farmers market in Cavan, and the health food shop in Cavan, and a couple of other outlets. And I sell over the phone and by my website.
Coming from the city, you know, you're very restricted in the city. You couldn't work late at night with a saw or anything because of the neighbours. You certainly couldn't, it'd be very difficult keeping bees unless you had a large garden, because they could sting your neighbours, they could be allergic to bees. Gardening, there's a lot of things you can't do in the city. And I think when city people move to the country, they more so than country people have taken everything for granted. They realise all the opportunities, they can do things now that they could never do in the city. We couldn't believe our luck, so we just got hens, and eventually we got ducks, and we had the bees, and having your own vegetables in the garden is fantastic. I mean, people say, you know, you can buy them cheaper in the supermarket, but you know, if you have a head of lettuce, you can go out and pick 2 or 3 leaves off, and you can come in and you have a salad. Whereas if you to go into Tesco and you have to buy a head of lettuce, and so at least you have control over what you're eating, which is, you know, nowadays people I think are copping on a lot more to that, and they're getting a bit more savvy. So it was a no-brainer as far as we're concerned, you know.
I think living in the country has given me great opportunities. I'm doing things that I never thought I would have done. Here I grow fruits and vegetables and herbs. I keep chickens and ducks and bees, of course. and I use most of my stuff that I grow in my produce that I make for the farmers market. I use the herbs in the potato salad. I use my cabbage and onions in the box tea that I make. And I sell these alongside my range of beeswax creams and balms and my honey when it's in season. If you're interested in something new, just go for it and hope for the best. You're not going to know how it's going to turn out until you actually do it. And it's going to be a lot of fun along the way as well.